Welcome back to the BookEnds YouTube channel. I'm James McGowan.
Hi, I'm Jessica Faust.
We are literary agents who have taken our popular blog to YouTube to discuss all things publishing. Today we're back in Querylandia, and we are talking about when not to submit your query or when to submit your query. So I feel like we always get this question, and I feel like we've done videos on it, but it never hurts to do another one. But a reader asked that their manuscript is not yet complete, but they want to test agents out and see if it's worth completing. Can they query now? Actually, I kind of adapted this question because it was really about PitMad and all of that stuff. Like, can I pitch agents now? It was, can I pitch agents now?
I think it's a little different in PitMad because
yeah, so I thought we could talk about both.
But okay, I'll let you lead, and then I have some thoughts.
Yeah, I realized I didn't put that on the outline, but it just popped into my head that we should talk about both.
I like that.
Yeah. So this author asks, they have their idea, they have everything ready to go. It's just not fully written yet. Can they pitch it to agents? So there are two ways that you can pitch to agents right now in a fully virtual world, right? You can do your regular query letter, and you can do all of the online pitch events like PitMad and DV Pit and all of these other really great events that occur very frequently. And they have different, I would say different sets of rules. So let's start with querying, because I feel like that's the bigger one to unpack.
Yep.
When you are querying your manuscript, you should not query anything until it's fully done.
You know what is a real pet peeve of mine about this is the idea that you can use agents to test out your idea, because it forgets about the fact that this is a business. And every minute of my day is spent working at my job, and reading query letters is part of my job because I am looking to build my business and also partner with authors so that they can build theirs. And by testing your idea on an agent, you're wasting my time.
Yep.
And you're also wasting my client's time, because now I've spent time working on your query or reading or whatever it is that you're testing on me, when I could have dedicated that to the work I need to be doing with my client.
And also, I think it assumes that, I think it's operating off the assumption that an agent's request is the green light that your book will get published, right?
Yeah.
So you can pitch your idea and get a sense of what agents might be interested in reading to see if they want to take it on.
Yeah.
But there's no follow through there to give you any really metric of confidence or anything that this will be a successful book.
Yeah,
successful
because
in this term that it would sell.
Yeah, because you have to write the book.
Right. So an agent needs that full material for a reason, because we can't evaluate an idea until it's done.
Yeah.
The reason, most probably principally, is that it is going to change. I don't care how great of a plotter you are, it really is going to depend on the execution and how everything folds out in all of these words. Yeah,
and the other problem with it is, this actually happened to me recently. I was pitched an idea about 4 years ago at a conference, and I loved it. I was like,
oh,
this is a great idea. I really want to see it. So I requested the full manuscript, and I never heard anything about it. And I thought, okay, well, that happens. It happens all the time. I didn't know that the author was, I guess, testing the idea on me, because 4 years later, the query shows up that the author has finally completed the book. 4 years is a long time.
Especially in market changes.
Yeah, the market has changed. My interests have changed. Everything has changed, and I was not at all interested. That was a book I absolutely could have sold 4 years ago. I didn't even want to try this time. It's just my interests have changed, and maybe it could sell, but something similar has sold multiple times since then.
And I was going to say, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't this one something that you were really looking for when you got the pitch, and then you got one? So even there, it dulls the shine a bit, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, you can test it out all you want, but what you're testing is today's market. When the book is finished, that test, it means nothing.
It's so fickle, and it really is dependent on the time that you're doing it.
Yeah.
But again, I just want to stress the importance, like when you're writing that book, it's not just the idea that sells a book.
No.
And I think the best example is look at all of the quote quiet books that sell, right?
Right.
It is execution, it's characterization and plotting and your prose and all of the style choices you make. And we can't tell that from a query letter fully, which is why the process is query, send submission. Then if we like it, we move forward.
Right. So do you want to discuss how this works in PitMad and explain what PitMad is for those who might not be familiar?
Sure. So there are a huge amount of online pitch events on Twitter where you can use a hashtag and you can do a really truncated version of your pitch. Usually it has to fit in 280 characters. And then agents and editors will look through the feeds on Twitter and they will like what they're interested in seeing more of.
Yep.
So we have heard of authors pitching their books on that scale of things without having a fully complete manuscript.
Don't you think it's probably more common in PitMad than it would be in queries? I mean, I would think, I mean, you say we've heard of, I guess I would think there are probably a lot of people out there putting stuff on PitMad as a test.
I agree. And I think the reason being is because it is gaining a sense of interest, but also it can be used as a tool for helping you build your query list.
Yeah.
And getting
Yeah.
people that you didn't know would be interested in your book or that you never heard of or something like that. Like this is they come to you. So I think it can be really useful in that effect. I still don't think it's worth doing that if you're in the very beginning stages of a book. So I can see if you're revising before you're going to send it out. Like I would suggest being closer to the finish line of the book than the starting line.
Yeah, and for a lot of the same reasons we already discussed, the biggest being the market changed, the agent interest changed. I also want to add that personally, I think PitMad or other similar Twitter pitch events are far trickier than a query, because I am looking at your book on 280 characters and it's almost impossible to give me the full scope of the book that a query can do. So for example, there have been a lot of times when I've requested stuff on PitMad, but then when the query came through, I thought, oh, I've already seen this, but I didn't get the impression I'd already seen it based on the pitch, or the pitch sounded amazing, but then I get the query and it really actually didn't sound anything like the pitch. So I think that's, if you're looking to be somebody who's going to test your idea, I really think PitMad could be, or other similar events, could be super deceiving.
You have to really be able to pitch your book, like you said, in a shorter version of that book, right? Like in some cases, what we're going off of is a log line and a comp. And how accurate to your book is that log line and a comp?
Well, I mean, I guess it's sort of the best description of all of Twitter is it misses all the nuance. And the nuance is super important when it comes to your book.
Right, which is why we always say too, if you're interested in an agent, query them, because let them tell you no in their queries. And I also think, you know, when we're scrolling through PitMad, there's like that bleedingness of PitMad because of algorithms and all of the tweets that come through every minute. But when we're going through our queries, it is a different mindset of, all right, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to read this query. Each query is probably going to take me about 5 minutes. I'm going to devote myself to it.
Yeah.
So I do think it's a bit of a different mindset where I think it can be really useful to help you build that list, but ultimately querying is where you will get the most, what's the word? Like the most
feedback, the most
full response. I don't know.
The purest impression. I guess.
Yeah, well, you're giving yourself your best chance, right?
Yeah.
And you can't do that until it's done.
Yeah, and also one thing to keep in mind, if you're using a pitch event to gauge interest, that I think there are a lot of agents who probably are just liking things. You know, if this one's getting a lot of likes, I'm just going to like it as well, and I'll look at it when it comes in. So I don't know that it's a really clear impression. And then there are things like, I don't tend to go on PitMad. Doesn't mean I wouldn't love to see your book, which is why I hope everybody also continues to query. It's just that I don't have the time during the day to spend on Twitter. I don't spend a lot of time on Twitter anyway, so I skip pitch events in the hopes that all of those great books are going to end up in my inbox anyway.
Yep, exactly that. So I thought we can also take some time on the end of the video just to break down what complete materials are for the different different formats, different age groups, and so when you're writing nonfiction, you don't need your full manuscript.
You might if you're writing memoir.
Correct, yeah.
But if you're writing prescriptive nonfiction or narrative, you don't necessarily need the full manuscript to query or pitch.
Yes, what you do need, it's called a proposal, and we have a video on our channel about what the proposal is. Jessica has written so many blogs on it, so we're not going to go into full detail there, but just to give you a sense, if you are watching this video, that if you want to query but your book's not done, for nonfiction, you need a proposal.
Yep.
The same thing really for graphic novels, though those graphic novels have a bit of a different proposal. That will usually be, and there are plenty of resources online, and perhaps we will even have one of our own very soon, about what you'll need. It's usually character sketches, like who the character is, synopsis, and sample script pages, but you will not need your full entire script.
Correct.
And then for picture books, you will need a submission package, which is your query letter, the initial book that you're querying, and then usually 2 to 3 additional books that when an agent requests, you would send those along.
And we definitely have done videos on picture books. Yeah.
Tons, yeah. Just because you don't want to get yourself into a situation when you query, you don't have the proper materials. So just making sure that for the age group or format that you're writing, you know exactly what you'll need to start your querying process and give yourself the best chance.
Excellent.
Yeah, so we hope that was helpful. Good luck with querying, and we hope to see your queries when you're ready.
Bye.